Aho Mataki Oyasen, Jai Vagon, Namaste, Haush Haush, Whoosh, Whoosh, Whoosh. Greetings, everyone. Today I'm going to be reading to you again. I have this book I have been reading. It's called Being in Love. It's written by Osho. There's a very special question that is inside of here that I'm interested to share with you. So I'm going to read a few pages from this, and I would like for us to have a discussion and ask a few questions and get involved together a little bit. So here it goes. It says, I am always afraid of being alone, because when I am alone, I start to wonder who I am. It feels that if I inquire deeper, I will find out that I am not the person who I have believed I was for the past 26 years, but a being present at the moment of birth and maybe also the moment before. For some reason, this scares me completely. It feels like a kind of insanity and makes me lose myself in outside things in order to feel safer. Who am I, and why the fear? This is Osho's response. It is not only your fear, it is everybody's fear. Because nobody is what he was supposed to be by existence. The society, the culture, the religion, the education have all been conspiring against innocent children. They have all the powers. The child is helpless and dependent. So whatsoever they want to make out of him, they manage to do it. They don't allow any child to grow to his natural destiny. Their every effort is to make human beings into utilities. Who knows if a child is left on his own to grow, whether he will be of any use to the vested interest or not? The society is not prepared to take the risk. It grabs the child and starts molding him into something that is needed by the society. In a certain sense, it kills the soul of the child and gives him a false identity, so that he never misses his soul, his being. The false identity is a substitute, but that substitute is useful only in the same crowd which has given it to you. The moment you are alone, the false starts falling apart and the repressed real starts expressing itself. Hence the fear of being lonely. Nobody wants to be lonely. Everybody wants to belong to a crowd. Not only one crowd, but many crowds. A person belongs to a religious crowd, a political party, a Rotary club, and there are many other small groups to belong to. One wants to be supported 24 hours a day because the false. Without support cannot stand. The moment one is alone, one starts feeling a strange craziness. That's what you have been asking about, because for 26 years, you believed yourself to be somebody, and then suddenly, in a moment of being alone, you start feeling you are not that. It creates fear. Then who are you? And 26 years of suppression. It will take some time for the real to express itself. The gap between the two has been called by the mystics the dark night of the soul. A very appropriate expression. You are no more the false, and you are not yet the real. You are in a limbo. You don't know who you are. Particularly in the West, and the questioner comes from the West, the problem is even more complicated, because they have not developed any methodology to discover the real as soon as possible so that the dark night of the soul can be shortened. The West knows nothing as far as meditation is concerned. And meditation is only a name for being alone, silent, waiting for the real to assert itself. It is not an act, it is a silent relaxation, because whatever you do will come out of your false personality. All you're doing for 26 years has come out of it. It is an old habit. Habits die hard. There was one great mystic in India, Eknath. He was going for a holy pilgrimage with all of his disciples. It was almost 3 to 6 months' journey. One man came to him, fell at his feet, and said, "I know I am not worthy. You know it too. Everybody knows me. But I know your compassion is greater than my unworthiness. Please accept me also as one of the members of the group that is going on the holy pilgrimage." Eknath said, "You are a thief, and not an ordinary thief, but a master thief. You have never been caught, and everybody knows that you are a thief. I certainly feel like taking you with me, but I also have to think about those 50 other people who are going with me. You will have to give me a promise. And I'm not asking for more, just for these 3 to 6 months' time while we are on the pilgrimage, you will not steal. After that, it is up to you. Once we are back home, you are free from the promise." The man said, "I am absolutely ready to promise, and I am tremendously grateful for your compassion." The other 50 people were suspicious to trust in a thief, but they could not say anything to Eknath. He was the master. The pilgrimage started, and from the very first night there was trouble. The next morning there was chaos. Somebody's coat was missing, somebody's shirt was missing, somebody's money was gone, and everybody was shouting, "Where is my money?" And they were all telling Eknath, "We were worried from the very beginning that you were taking this man with you, a lifelong habit." But then they started looking and they found that things were not stolen. Somebody's money was missing, but it was found in somebody else's bag. Somebody else's coat was missing, but it was found in somebody else's luggage. Everything was found, but it was an unnecessary trouble every morning, and nobody could conceive what can be the meaning of it. Certainly, it is not the thief, because nothing was actually stolen. The third night, Eknath remained awake to see what was going on. In the middle of the night, the thief, just out of habit, woke up, started taking things from one place to another place. Eknath stopped him and said, "What are you doing? Have you forgotten your promise?" He said, "No, I have not forgotten my promise. I am not stealing anything. But I have not promised that I will not move things from one place to another place. After 6 months, I have to be a thief again. This is just practice. And you must understand it is a lifelong habit. You cannot drop it just like that. Just give me time. You should understand my problem also. For 3 days, I have not stolen a single thing. It is just like fasting. This is just a substitute. I am keeping myself busy. This is my business time in the middle of the night, so it is very hard for me to just lie down on the bed awake, and so many idiots are sleeping and I am not doing any harm to anybody. In the morning, they all find their things." Eknath said, "You are a strange man. You see that every morning there is such chaos, and 1 or 2 hours unnecessarily are wasted in finding where you have put things, whose property has gone into whose luggage. Everybody has to open everything and ask everybody, to whom does this belong?" The thief said, "This much concession you have to give to me. 26 years of a false personality imposed by people who you loved, whom you respected, and they were not intentionally doing anything bad to you. Their intentions were good, just their awareness was nil. They were not conscious people. Your parents, your teachers, your priests, your politicians were not conscious people. They were unconscious, and even a good intention in the hands of an unconscious person turns out to be poisonous. So whenever you are alone, a deep fear arises because suddenly the false starts disappearing. And the real will take a little time. You have lost it 26 years back. You will have to give some consideration to the fact that a gap of 26 years has to be bridged. In fear that I am losing myself, my senses, my sanity, my mind, everything, because the self that has been given to you by others consists of all these things. It looks like you will go insane. You immediately start doing something just to keep yourself engaged. If there are no people, at least there is some action. So the false remains engaged and does not start disappearing. Hence, people find it the most difficult on holidays. For 5 days they work, hoping that on the weekend they are going to relax, but the weekend is the worst time in the world. More accidents happen on the weekend, more people commit suicide, more murderers, more stealing, more rape. Strange, these people were engaged for 5 days and there was no problem. But the weekend suddenly gives them a choice, either to be engaged in something or to relax. But relaxing is fearsome. The false personality disappears. Keep engaged. Do anything stupid. People are running towards the beaches bumper to bumper, miles long traffic. And if you ask them where they are going, they are getting away from the crowd. And the whole crowd is going with them. They are going to find solitary, silent space, all of them. In fact, if they had remained home, it would have been more solitary and silent. Because all the idiots have gone in search of a solitary place, and they are rushing like mad, because 2 days will be finished soon. And they have to reach don't ask where. And on the beaches you can see, not even marketplaces are so crowded. Strangely enough, people are feeling very much at ease taking a sun bath. 10,000 people on a small beach taking a sun bath, relaxing. The same person on the same beach alone will not be able to relax, but he knows thousands of other people are relaxing all around him. The same people were in the offices, the same people were in the streets, the same people were in the marketplace. Now these people are on the beach. The crowd is an essential for the false self to exist. The moment it is lonely, you start freaking out. This is where one should understand a little bit of meditation. Don't be worried, because that which can disappear is worth disappearing. It is meaningless to cling to it. It is not yours. It is not you. You are the one when the false has gone, and the fresh, the innocent, the unpolluted being will arise in its place. Nobody else can answer your question, who am I? You will know it. All meditative techniques are a help to destroy the false. They don't give you the real. The real cannot be given. That which can be given cannot be real. The real you have got already, just the false has to be taken away. Meditation is just a courage to be silent and alone. Slowly you start feeling a new quality to yourself, a new aliveness, a new beauty, a new intelligence, which is not borrowed from anybody, which is growing within you. It has roots in your existence, and if you are not a coward, it will come to fruition, to flowering. Only the brave, the courageous, the people who have guts can be religious. Not the churchgoers. These are the cowards, not the Hindus, not the Mohammedans, not the Christians. They are against searching. It is the same crowd, and they are trying to make their false identity more consolidated. You were born, you have come into the world with life, with consciousness, with tremendous sensitivity. Just look at a small child, look at his eyes, the freshness. All that has been covered by a false personality. There is no need to be afraid. You can lose only that which needs to be lost. And it is good to lose it soon, because the longer it stays, the stronger it becomes, and one does not know anything about tomorrow. Don't die before realizing your authentic being. Only those few people are fortunate who have lived with Only those few people are fortunate who have lived with authentic being and who have died with authentic being, because they know that life is eternal and death is a fiction. Then move out of it. One should always be watchful, because if one is not feeling happy in any situation, in any mood, then one should come out of it. Otherwise, that becomes your habit, and by you lose sensitivity. You will go on being miserable and living in it, which simply shows a very deep insensitivity. There is no need. If you are not feeling good in isolation, then come out of it. Meet with people, enjoy company, talk, and laugh. But when you feel you are fed up with it, move into isolation again. Always remember to judge everything by your inner feeling of bliss. If you are feeling blissful, everything is all right. If you are not feeling blissful, then whatsoever you are doing, something somewhere is wrong. The longer you remain in it, the more it becomes just an unaware thing. And you completely forget that it is through your cooperation that the miserable feeling continues. It needs your cooperation. It cannot exist itself. Human growth requires that one moves from one polarity to another. Sometimes being alone is perfectly good. One needs one's own space. One needs to forget the whole world and to be oneself. The other is absent, so you have no boundary to yourself. The other creates your boundary, otherwise you are infinite. Living with people, moving in the world and society, by and by, one begins to feel confined, limited, as if there are walls all around. It becomes a subtle imprisonment, and one needs to move. One needs sometimes to be perfectly alone so that all boundaries disappear, as if the other does not exist at all, and the whole universe and the whole sky exist only for you. In that moment of aloneness, one realizes for the first time what infinity is. But then, if you live in it too much, by and by, the infinity bores you. It becomes tasteless. There is purity and silence, but there is no ecstasy in it. Ecstasy always comes through the other. One then starts feeling hungry for love and wants to escape from this aloneness, this vast expanse of space. One wants a cozy place surrounded by others so that one can forget oneself. This is the basic polarity of life, love, and meditation. People who try to live through love and relationships alone, by and by, become very limited. They lose infinity. They lose infinity and purity, and they become superficial. Always living in relationships means always living on the boundary where you can meet the other. So you are always standing at the gate, and you can never move into your palace because only at the gate is the meeting point where the other passes by. So people who only live in love, by and by, become superficial. Their life loses depth, and people who live only in meditation will become very deep, but their life loses color, loses ecstatic dance, the orgasmic quality of being. Real humanity, the humanity of the future, will live with both the polarities together, and to share that understanding is my whole effort. One should be free to move from one to another with neither polarity becoming a confinement. You should not be afraid of the marketplace, nor too afraid of the monastery. You should be free to move from the marketplace to the monastery, and from the monastery to the marketplace. This freedom, this flexibility of movement, I call sannyas, S-A-N-N-Y-A-S. Sannyas. The bigger the swing, the richer your life. There are attractions to remaining with just one of the polarities, because then life is simpler. If you just remain with people in the crowd, it is simple. Complexity comes from the contradictory, the opposite pole. If you become a monk or you go to the Himalayas and just live there, life is very simple. But a simple life which has no complexity in it loses much richness. Life should be both complex and simple. One has to seek this harmony continuously, otherwise life becomes of one note, a single note. You can go on repeating it, but no orchestra can be created out of it. So whenever you feel that something is now becoming troublesome, immediately move before you become unaware. Never make anywhere your home, neither relationships nor aloneness. Remain flowing and homeless, and don't abide at any polarity. Enjoy it, delight in it, but when it is finished, move to the other, make it a rhythm. You work in the day, by night you rest, so that again by the next day you are ready to work, energy regained. Just think of a man who goes on working all day and all night, or who goes on sleeping day and night. What kind of life will that be? One will be a madness, the other a coma. Between the two there is a balance, a harmony. Work hard so that you can relax deeply, so that you become capable of working, of being more creative. So that's that section. And this book is on how to love with awareness and relate without fear. I really enjoyed this book. I'm actually almost done with it. It's been very precious and very interesting. When I am spending my time with Amrit Desai, I have found this in his library, and it made me purchase the book. And I'm very happy to have read the things that I am reading in here. You may find that he has many things that are not traditional views or ways of understanding love and our togetherness. And I'm not stating that I am absolutely believing in every single principality that he is mentioning in the book. However, at the same time, I can relate to all of his feelings and ideas about love and tending to the children of Earth. So if you feel like it, give yourself permission to purchase this book and explore on your own. If you would like to ask some questions or you would like to have a discussion, I will be happy to have one with you, especially if you have actually read the content of this. Feel free to contact me and we can have a video chat and catch up with one another. I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. I hope you have a beautiful day and have enjoyed this reading. Jai Bhagwan. Thank you so much. I'll see you later, okay?